EDA has been very fortunate in that each one of these programs, each one of the grantees here, were funded under the same program, Economic Adjustment Assistance. Extraordinarily flexible program. We've had it for decades and decades. We didn't have to create a new program to do this. The challenge is, how do we, as multiple agencies, find the initiative, the initiative concept, where all of us can have a role, a relevant role, within the funding and be relevant to a partnership of applicants.
This is a great point, because ideally cluster strategy is an integrative, connective, holistic activity, and yet you're dealing with, a far from perfect federal stovepiping. So I think you've made a great point there. Scott, do you want to give us quickly your strength? What has gone really well?
Well, let me first just add to what Phil was talking about, and you just mentioned about the stovepiping. I mean, it really, unfortunately, I think it also was much harder on the other end for the grantees to try to figure out how to apply.
We'll hear from them in a minute.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, they'll talk about that. But I think it's something that we need to do better at. Figure out how we can do that as a government. And that's maybe something that could, go back to the words we heard at lunch about disruptive. I mean, if the Congress wants to do something really out there, they should do something what I would consider disruptive and try to figure out a way to fund something collectively.
We're talking about the rigidities of the
right. The rigidity of the stovepipe funding only allows us to work in certain manners. It doesn't allow us to collaborate as government agencies as well as we should. I mean, we do collaborate, and I think the 5 funding agencies. When you think about it, 5 different federal agencies getting together, working together, it actually was pretty amazing. And to get one funding opportunity out the door that we all signed up for, it had to go through all of our lawyer shops and everything like that, and it would come back every other week changed based on that. It was pretty amazing for it to happen. And I think it speaks to the leadership of all our organizations that they bought in and let us take the time to do it.
And I'll say this, is that in recent funding initiatives where we had 3 or so funding agencies, it has to work for each agency.
Right.
It has to work for each agency. So the real strain is on the applicant, and how do they put together a cohesive, relevant program, competitive program, but yet can function within the realms of.
And of course, fundamentally, we have it backwards, right?
Right.
They're trying to fit into your rubrics rather than you trying to follow. So let's hear. I see Percy nodding a bit. Let's hear from our grantees who are working with multiple agencies. I mean, I think that's you and Buzz for sure, right?
I have to commend Phil and EDA and SBA, because they were really, you could work with them. They understood what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
I got the impression that the direction of the program didn't filter down from the top at the Department of Labor and ETA, because we had to do more education of ETA as to what our program was.
Yeah.
And I was sort of surprised by that. And but as Phil said, you have to work within the confines of each agency. I think the thing that I disappointed, particularly the community that we work with, is when we were awarded the grant, the assistant secretary came down and there was a big public display, and the statements were made that there are other agencies that are going to really be supportive of you who you're not being awarded a grant. And they came away with the impression that would give them some type of priority when going after grants at those agencies. So I think during the course of the grant, they became very disillusioned. We were working on a clean energy cluster, and they felt that they did not get the support from DOE that seemed to have been implied at the start of the program.
Very interesting. Buzz, I mean, let's say you have a multi-agency panoply going on.
Right.
How's that working?
So I have 5 federal customers, okay? So really kind of the occasion that would go beyond my wildest dreams, but sometimes it ends with me waking up in a cold sweat. So it's a great opportunity, and here's why it works, guys. I have nothing but bad or good things to say about it, because it works because you guys are committed to it. I mean, you demonstrate it in your actions each and every day, and I'd say this if you guys weren't sitting here either, that clearly the 5 agencies, and I picked up a 6th with follow-on funding through Appalachian Regional Commission, and so with those customers, you guys are, you're feeling your way through the process, but it's clear that this is where you want to go, this is what you want to do, you work with us to jump over those hurdles, and I just see a bright future for future opportunities where you guys do collaborate.
Maybe from any of the grantees, are there any ways you think it can be, how optimally might you see this work? I mean, would there be a single pool coming down regardless of multiple agencies, or how might you see it working better?
Of course, that would probably always be optimal, is if you get one funding pool, but I'm not sure how realistic it is, and maybe sometime down the road. Probably the most cumbersome thing we have is really somewhat redundant reporting, right? And so if that's the next wave where we could consolidate reporting that would make all 5 agencies happy, I think that would be progress. But it's not insurmountable, and I think that, the way we wrote our proposal, we had pretty clear swim lanes that matched up with the silos. So we know where we spend our money where, and so when it comes to actually reporting, it's not that difficult.
And meanwhile, it seems like regardless of these sort of in-house back office complications, you're delivering what you believe are high-impact strategies. Maybe it's simplest for you, Tiffany. Are you feeling, the bulk of your effort is out in the economy rather than...
I don't spend a lot of time. We do our quarterly reports for Phil and his team, and then I've got a board of directors that I need to keep up to date. But, we're a small organization with limited resources. So, our main focus is developing a self-sustaining strategy so we can keep the lights on and keep doing what we're doing.
But let's go to Mark, and then I do want to reserve some time for our audience to ask questions. But Mark, to what extent did you assess the actual delivery of these programs at the federal level? And if you did, to what extent were there, what would you say are the strengths and weaknesses that...
If I could address that question and then another one it was just discussed.
Feel free to jump in.
So we looked at what the needs were of the businesses, what they self-reported, what their needs were and what they were looking to gain, and how the clusters were able to provide those services either directly or in collaboration with other partners back to them. And in a high percentage of times, the small businesses that were participating, again, that was our focus, indicated that the services they received from the clusters they couldn't find anywhere else in the region. And so the clusters were able to oftentimes fashion services back to the small businesses that were of value to them, and leading to a lot of the metrics that we were looking at.
So this was not crowding out existing activity, but providing, responding to market failures with new services.
And if I could just address the reporting aspect, in terms of one of our, I would say as an evaluator, our stretch goals really isn't it's to help embed the evaluations where, of course, all of the clusters need, if you're operating a cluster, you need to know how you're performing, how you're meeting the needs of the businesses that you're serving. And so, the real goal is to try and harmonize as much as possible in terms of our data collection needs as a third-party evaluator with the needs and the frequency where the clusters need the information. Because the ultimate goal is to not only assess, but it's to improve performance is the real goal, and to improve the biofeedback that's going back to the clusters and then back to the funders.